It is now with great pleasure I introduce our guest speaker, the Honorable Steve L. Muro, Undersecretary for Memorial Affairs. Mr. Muro served in the U.S. Navy and did 2 tours in Vietnam. He was sworn in as the Undersecretary for Memorial Affairs June 6, 2011. As Undersecretary, he leads 131 national cemeteries in providing dignified burial services for military veterans and eligible family members. His responsibilities also include maintaining the cemeteries as national shrines, land acquisition, design, construction, and other activities relating to the establishment of new national cemeteries, overseeing other memorial programs to honor the service of deceased veterans, including provision of headstones, markers, medallions, and presidential memorial certificates, and administrating federal grants to help states, territories, and tribal governments establish veterans cemeteries. Mr. Muro.
Good morning, distinguished guests, those on active duty, my fellow veterans, the Missing in America team, ladies and gentlemen. It's always a pleasure to be at one of my national cemeteries, especially on a day like today, to honor the honor of 18 fellow soldiers, airmen, that are being laid to rest, and sailors. They were someone's brother, they were our neighbors, they were someone's dad, and today we lay them to rest in our national cemetery here at Quantico. They raised their right hand, they took the oath. They put on a new scratchy uniform. They learned to march. They risked their lives in defense of our nation. These soldiers, sailors, airmen left home, left their families, left everything they knew to fight for our nation. They fought in both world wars, Korea and Vietnam. And likely none of them asked for anything more from this country, from our nation. But I don't believe they expected to be abandoned, unclaimed, and unrecognized as they made their final bivouac. But thanks to the efforts of dedicated volunteers, generous funeral homes, funeral directors, state and federal organizations, they are no longer forgotten, no longer unknown, and no longer alone. I want to commemorate the Missing in Action Project Veteran Recovery Program for their tireless effort and work in identifying these deserving veterans and for bringing us together as a community partners to ensure that they are laid to rest in a national cemetery. As Americans, we believe there are things worth fighting for and some worth dying for. And we believe deeply that those who wore the cloth of our nation are worthy of a final resting place in a national shrine as Quantico National Cemetery, and worthy of a lasting tribute to commemorate their service and their sacrifice. These 18 earned these honors being rendered to them today. They earned our undying gratitude, and they earned our respect. Ceremonies like this one play a big part in reaching the closure, as Steve spoke earlier, and it is important for closure. But burying these doesn't mean their stories end. Instead, it lies ahead to the rest of their story for the future. National cemeteries like this one are a focal point for remembering that they gave their tomorrows so that we may have our todays. The headstones, the markers, and the other memorials surrounding provide us a record for future generations, ensuring, as President Garfield said, that no historic sacrifice is ever lost. Ceremonies and cemeteries are a part of keeping history alive. And I thank you for being here today, acting as families, of these men that we are laying to rest. Fellow Americans, we owe so much to. But that's more for us to do. Please take the time to thank those in uniform, those who have served, and our veterans while they're still alive. And please reach out to your families and their survivors. Also, please consider volunteering at the local VA hospital, VA nursing homes, and VA national cemeteries. And please bring your children to our cemeteries and your grandchildren, and here to Quantico National Cemetery. Teach them that freedom is not free. Tell them that these that are fallen and buried here in our national cemeteries gave their tomorrows so that we may have our todays. Remember, they gave their tomorrows so that we may have our todays. May God bless these 18 veterans being laid to rest this morning, and all the men and women standing watch around the globe. And may God bless this grateful nation. Thank you very much.